Good evening, and I'd like to welcome you to the first ever New British Promotions Live podcast. This is something that we're absolutely hoping to get out on a weekly basis, and it's going to be normally on Sunday at 6 p.m. Unfortunately, the first show there was a delay on there due to illness from myself, but we are certainly hoping to get a show a week out to you at 6 p.m. every week. That's just as an effort from ourselves to get out to you, the audience, and also get you an interview with a lot of our top stars, none bigger than my guest this morning, or this evening should I say, and that is the one and the only Mikey Andrews. Mikey, how are you?
I'm very well, how are you this evening?
I'm really good, thank you. Yeah, I'm really good, thank you for asking. Obviously it's a privilege to talk to you. We're going to go through the upcoming shows, obviously your future with New British Promotions, what you're doing at the moment, but I've done a little bit of research into you, so let's go from the start. Now, from what I can make out, according to the internet, and you were trained by a guy called Sykes, is that correct?
Yes, a guy called Sykes, a very good guy called Sykes.
A good guy called Sykes.
Also a friend, someone that I would call a friend, over the time. That I've been doing this, so
okay.
Yeah, it didn't all start with Sykes. It started a little bit earlier than that. I was about 14.
Oh, okay.
Place called Immingham, and a company called Pure Wrestling Association, which is no longer trading, no longer in existence.
Right.
The guy was called Ron Wilkinson, and his character was the Urban Warrior. For anyone that can remember that far back, or anyone that worked with him, started off really great, cracking trainer, but then just became lazy, so lost the company. So therefore, I moved my training onto Steve, who at the time owned Real Deal Wrestling, RDW. And I did my training with Steve. Steve taught me quite well. I was a little hot-headed when I was younger, but I can be now, to be fair. But not like I was when I was younger. You know, you mature over the time, and you know, and if you don't, then you don't really get anywhere, do you? That's how life works.
That's absolutely in any walk of life, yeah.
So sometimes me and Steve clashed, probably because of my attitude at the time as well. I was only a small guy. I was five and a half stone, so I had everything to prove, you know.
Wow, yeah, definitely.
So, I was 93 pounds, something like that.
Wow.
I was at the age filing point, I was 18, 19 years old.
Yeah, that is...
Steve did his best with me. We did some shows together. And I started hating wrestling eventually because of politics. Backstage.
Right, okay, so...
Politics backstage, everyone's better than everyone else, no one looking out for each other, everyone happy to crap on you from great heights for no reason. People you thought were friends were not friends.
Yeah, that way, yeah.
So I wasn't in a position at 5.5 stone to push back, so I got a bit packed off and I left wrestling for a while because it became something that I just didn't want to do anymore. It's not something that I signed up for.
Yeah.
But also I didn't really put much effort into training at this time, so I was 5.5 stone wanting to be a wrestler.
I get you.
You know.
Yeah.
You go to someone and tell them you're a wrestler at 5.5 stone, they just laugh at you. You know,
yeah.
And they do. Whether they do it in front of you or they do it behind your back, they do.
It is. Yeah.
So I didn't really help myself. Steve couldn't do much with me at the time, 5.5 stone, you know. You just up for squash matches and stuff like that, really. And so I left for about 12 years, and then eventually time came where 12 years, a nice long break. In that 12 years, I started bodybuilding. So now I'm about 180 pounds.
Right, so double what you were. I mean,
double that was.
You're still quite lean for a wrestler, but yeah, definitely, it's certainly more than what you were.
I didn't hear that, sorry.
So you still, when you consider, going into the heavyweight side of things, you're still quite lean, when you compare for wrestler, but still, to be double that, you're at 180, it just shows how I would say unprepared your body was probably in the early stages.
Yeah. So now I'm those guys that were bigger than someone else.
Yeah.
So I see it now from a different angle. And I've come back now at 180 pounds almost. And so I took 6 bodybuilding championships in that time.
That's impressive. Right, okay.
And I enjoyed that, but then sort of like you've done that. I never wanted to go to the big stages because you're pumping your body with a lot of stuff at this point, and I've already had 166 operations. I can't be taking that risk. I'm not.
Of course not. No.
Those scars are very visible when I'm wrestling. I have a very traumatic past.
Yeah.
And I can't be putting all this stuff into my body. So I was happy where I got myself to.
It's impressive to say you've had that many operations, to say that you've got anywhere in bodybuilding, let alone winning awards. That's, that is mega impressive.
So the thing is, you just got to deal with that. That's the way it is.
Of course.
You wake up one day, you've got to live that day. You wake up the next day, you've got to do the same as yesterday.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
So I started thinking, what can I do now? Excuse me, still quite early for me. So I was, well, what can I do now? And I thought to myself, what about wrestling again?
Right.
Can I do it? Can I do it? Can I not?
I mean, were you I presume you were a fan as a kid, for you to...
I was a massive fan as a kid. Every Saturday or Sunday. I started actually watching wrestling with my friend Dan. Unfortunately, I lost my friend Dan in 2017. So that's where it started, me and my best friend watching that, Channel 4 recordings. I remember seeing the Undertaker coming down in his big leather jacket with his little wood thing, and I thought, you know. We watched WrestleMania 17 was one of the first events that we ever watched together, and in my opinion, that's the best WrestleMania that there ever was. And that's never ever going to be beat quickly a favourite. Yeah,
definitely.
And then as I watched more wrestling, I realised I had a big interest in Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog.
Yeah, the Bulldog was something else, wasn't he? And that makes sense as well with your bodybuilding as well. So,
he was a big guy. I like the moves he does. He's stalling stuff, lets you power slam, you press. That all impressed me. So that's the sort of stuff that got me interested in wrestling and stuff like that. I know I'm a small guy for my height, but it was never really the high flying stuff that got me hooked. that's not really been a particular interest to me. I
Yeah.
appreciate it, but for me, that's not why I'm doing it.
Yeah, you're on my wavelength with that. Yeah, definitely. It's not the main attraction, is it?
There's no question in the talent, and I can't do what they do. So
No.
I'm not going to judge that, but for me, that's not what grabbed my attention.
Yeah.
12 years on, I thought, can I do this again? Should I be doing this now? I'm older now. I'm 33 year old now. Is that a bit old? And then someone says, remember DDT was world champion at 35? Well, that might be. But times of wrestling changes and stuff like that. So I thought, right, I'll give it a go. And I've been watching and following this company called Lion Wrestling Promotions.
Yes.
LWP based in Skegness.
Yep.
I like their logo. I thought it was a pretty smart logo. I like their belt. They put a lot of work into their belt. And then my friend Carl, who was wrestling when I first ever started, under the ring name Zamo, when it was refereeing for them. And I noticed that and I said to him, what do you like? And he said, oh, they all right. And so I said, I'm thinking of reaching out and asking if I can come and train with them. And he said, give it a go. They're all right. And then I went down and, I contacted them. Aaron messaged back. Aaron Sharp is the head coach.
Yep.
Aaron Sharp messaged back. Yeah, come down, buddy. We started training. We went to do shows. So we did Happy Days. We did the Dung Tussle. We've done the Dooms. We've done little fairs in schools. We've done all sorts. I got opportunity to wrestle for Sykes on my friend's memorial show.
Right.
Along the way, and then I can't say in the 12 years that I'd stayed away from wrestling altogether, because I hadn't. I'd silently been training with the Ulster Wrestling Academy in London. So I didn't stay away completely. I trained with them quite a bit.
You get your foot in the water.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Terry Thatcher is the head coach there, and so I came back up north, and I came back up north because of the pandemic. If it wasn't due to the pandemic, I wouldn't be back up north at all. And I'd probably still be with the Ulster Wrestling Academy. We're still in contact. We're still good friends, and Terry's a guy that I know I can go to for some advice. Very sound advice, very straight advice. He's not a guy that puts you on the show after 3 training sessions. He's a guy that says, this is the syllabus, this is the way training works. You need to pass this before I can put you on show. And I think that's the way it needs to be, where so many promoters these days, whether it's a small company or not, and it is majority of the smaller companies that say, oh, you've had a few training sessions, I'll put you on a show. Well, that's dangerous for everyone.
That's it. It is dangerous. Yeah, definitely. It's not something that you can do just after a few sessions, is it? It's I know from training myself. I did it forever, and I just couldn't get the flips. I just couldn't do it, and that was after 18 months. So I just wasn't safe to be put in a ring, so I can relate to that.
It takes time.
Yeah.
You've got to get it right.
Yeah, of course you do. Absolutely.
So therefore I came back up north. So I started with LWT. We did all what I just told you we've done. I met some good guys, and one of my favourite matches whilst wrestling for LWT was Bulk, one half of the UK Pitbulls.
Yes, I've heard of Bulk.
This guy, I've known him a long time. I've known of him a long time. Because he was wrestling back when I started.
Yeah.
And they've been wrestling for RDW. So I knew of him. I never actually got to work with them until LWT, and they were backstage and stuff. And I have a finisher, the backbreaker, and then I also have one called the torture rack. Yeah, and I'm sure you've seen the torture rack.
A nod to Lex Luger, yeah.
And that was given to me by the UK Pitbulls.
Right, okay, so I have a respect thing then, kinda.
They gave me that when they saw that I'd done a cross-border stretch as a submission move, and they said, no, you don't, because I'm small, but I'm also a big guy, I don't want to be doing a move that hides everything. So they asked, let's go through the torture rack. They trained me to do the torture rack, and they stepped back and they looked and watched me do it, and they were like, yeah, use that because it shows your biceps when you're doing that and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Your thighs. So they gave me the torture rack, and so I used that torture rack.
Yeah, it's a great finisher.
Back then I wanted to do big moves, and I was 5.5 stone. You're not doing big moves at 5.5 stone. Let's be realistic.
Yeah, of course.
And now they've given me this move, and I use it. Also, one, I don't like to waste people's time. They went out their way to look and go, right, that's what I think would suit, and it works, and it's comfortable for me to do that. So I use that. One, it's a respect thing for them, but also, secondly, I actually enjoy using that move.
Definitely.
That sounds really sanish, doesn't it? I really enjoy putting people in the top.
Well, I said, what you do for a living there, Mikey, I think I'd be surprised if you didn't enjoy inflicting a bit of pain from time to time. So, yeah. But no, the torture rack, you've been a bodybuilder as well. I can see a nod to Lex Luger, so I'm looking forward to seeing you apply that at some point, which I'm sure I won't have to wait too long for.
But you won't have to wait too long.
No.
So moving on from LWT, we had a fallout, and I think some wrestlers will go through this, so I'm going to highlight this.
Right, okay.
I won't be the only one out there that's gone through it. I won't be the first, and I'm definitely not going to be the last. But I am someone that just simply isn't tolerating that crap. So.
Is this from a promoter side of it, then I take it?
Yeah, a bit of both.
Okay.
So we went through and did all those shows with the Dooms, the Suncastle, Happy Days. And I enjoyed doing that, and the guys that I worked with were amazing guys. However, we didn't get paid for any of those shows because we're told you've got to earn your dues.
No,
you've got to build yourself up, and then we'll start paying you.
No, that's...
The other problem was, at the time, the guy was putting himself in the spotlight all the time. So for example, my match with Bulk, he came down, we were having a good match, and then he'd already done his match, but then he's the owner of the company, he'd already done his match, and then he came out at the end of my match, drop kicked Bolt and pinned him, which not only destroyed our match, in my opinion, but there was no need for that part to happen.
No, it doesn't make sense either.
Then he got his arm raised, and it's like putting yourself in that spotlight that isn't necessary.
Yeah.
You've done your bit. Let everyone else do their bit. I know it's your show and you'll do it how you want to do it.
Yeah.
But when you're burying matches, when you're burying talent like that, and it is still burying talent when you're doing that, because nothing else came of that. There was no storyline around that. Nothing else came of it. Which would make sense if there was storyline behind it, but there wasn't.
Yeah, and from a promoter's point of view, that makes zero sense, because that's just burying two of his top guys.
But this is putting himself in the spotlight.
Yeah.
And this started to wind me up, because I was like, hang on a minute. That was my match. That was my time.
Yeah, agreed.
As a person, I like him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, as a person, he's a good guy. But this wound me up a lot, and they're not getting paid. And so I went back to Terry Thatcher at Al Snow Wrestling Academy, and I said, look, I've got these issues. Can you tell me if I'm the issue? Or
Yeah.
can you tell me if it is the way I'm seeing it? And anyway, he told me, he said, no. When he told him about not being paid for shows, I told him, look, it's because I've got to earn my way and my dues and stuff like that. So he said, no, you don't wrestle on a show for free.
No.
This is a profession, and you don't do it for free.
Absolutely.
So I was delighted to, I was not delighted completely to hear that I'd been mugged off.
Yeah,
But
I get you.
The fact that my thought process was right.
Yeah.
And you should be getting paid. And I don't really care if I'm getting paid, but it's more about the lack of gesture. There was no, hey up lads, I bought you coffees, hey up lads, let's go for lunch after here. There was nothing like that.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's all it needs to be sometimes, doesn't it? But yeah, I get you.
I was dragged up on a council estate. Trust me, we had nothing. So I don't expect the world, but I do expect something in return for what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, especially when you're putting your body on the line.
I had his friendship, which was great, and he was a good friend. When it came to this wrestling, at that point in time, that was an issue.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing, so I think if you're out there and you're just starting, don't be doing matches for free. That's some advice I could give you. Don't be doing matches for free, because it starts being okay, but then it starts becoming habit, and then you start getting a bit frustrated because it's like, hang on a minute, I've done about 20 matches here.
Yeah.
And you haven't paid me for any. But what wound me up was he paid a wrestler on the same show in front of me, and I was like, hang on, I've been part of that show. Those guys have been part of that show, because there was two other wrestlers that he didn't pay, and I put up a fight against them, and I said some very blunt things to him in a message, and he didn't like it.
Yeah.
I know, maybe I was angry at the time. So you know what it's like when we get angry? But everything came out. Everything came out about the wages. Everything came out about putting himself over in his own company. You know, it's not about the winning.
No,
but it's about being in the constant spotlight. You know, give someone else the chance to shine. Win your matches, fine, but give someone else the moment to shine as well. You know, we've got Tommy, we've got Kirby, and stuff like that. If I was promoting your show, and I went out there and shone over Kirby, that don't make sense. Kirby's just won his match.
Yeah.
Let him take that victory. Let him celebrate that. You've got Tommy as the world champion. Let him take that victory. Let him celebrate that. You know, don't be trashing those things. Those things are important. You know, different segments of your show are important and don't have to involve you all the time.
Well, that's it. And if you're in a position where you're the only legit star on the show, then you don't want to make money with anybody, are you? Because everybody else is just seen as an extra.
That's it. Yeah, and that's not good. That's not fair for anyone. So
absolutely
try not to fall into that trap. So I let him have it, and he kicked me out of the company.
Wow.
Which is fine. Because you know what? So I've said the truth.
Yeah, yeah. That's it.
But you know, this is a year on. I've calmed down now. I've had time to think that some things I said were quite blunt and probably I could have held back on. The main point, though, is those two other wrestlers are now getting paid.
So, yeah, he, in an indirect way, took it on board.
So, although it didn't directly affect me,
no,
I am glad to see that those two wrestlers got paid.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it means actually you did listen.
Yeah, you just didn't like being told, yeah.
You just didn't like being told. So,
Yeah.
and this guy's going around telling certain referees, certain wrestlers not to work with me because I've got this attitude, I've got that attitude, I'm putting myself over in stuff and whatever else. And I'm like, hold on a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't got that attitude unless you've done something to hack me off.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
I'm not blunt or rude to someone if they're pleasant to me or pleasant to someone else. If someone's taking the piss, yes, I'm very blunt.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Whilst he's telling these referees not to come and not to work with me, I'm showing these referees I'm actually an alright guy. Well, I hope I'm showing that sort of personality. But he's still sour and slating me a year and a half on. And he's just simply not man enough to put his hand out and go, hey, let bygones be bygones. He's still out there saying, oh, he's putting himself over, he's doing this, he's doing that. But, lo and behold, there's just been a show called 20 Years of Lion. And Aaron Sharp's wrestling name is Aaron, the Lion Aaron Sharp. So, for a guy that slates people for putting themselves over, he's made a show about himself.
Yeah, I think fragile egos, I think, is the best way. And I don't know the guy personally, but from what you've just told me, it seems like,
he's gonna hate the fact that I've said this on here. But I don't care because sometimes people need to hear it.
Yeah, definitely.
So the thing is, if he was to say, as I said, let bygones be bygones, let's chat, I'd talk to him. But he's the one that's sour grapes and can't be man or mature enough to put the past behind us. But what he don't understand is there's so many of his stars with our stars. If he just buried his ego a minute, he'd probably make a lot more money and have a lot more interesting shows. But because of his own pride, he won't do that.
Which is a shame.
So we fell out. Fell out because of these issues. And I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry for that.
No, absolutely.
So I moved on to UKW, wrestled with Jonathan Sedgwick, who's a great guy as well, good guy, brilliant trainer.
Yeah, I did my training there.
He's a man of few words, right?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
But if anyone gets the opportunity to go and wrestle for him, I definitely recommend that they go and do that.
It's an amazing setup, isn't it, that he's got there? He really has.
He's got his own arena.
Yeah.
His own rings. Downstairs he's got his own training part. He's got everything you need to do a show. You can just walk in, the ring's already set up, the cameras are already in place, the chairs are already in place, you're not setting anything up, you're walking in, you're planning your match, you're doing your match.
He's got it made, hasn't he? And,
and then when you finished your match, go backstage, get ready, go home.
Yeah, that's it. And
he's got a right good setup.
And definitely, and he's doing 2 shows a week, monthly pay-per-views. I think last time I heard, is that
2 to 3 shows a week now with monthly pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's like I said, the way he's done it as well, because he's built a warehouse, hasn't he? And he's made it into a wrestling studio. But it's definitely it's an impressive setup. So, with regards to UKW, then, what are your highlights there?
Taking my first title, taking the around the clock title from Chris Castle.
Oh wow! Okay.
And Chris, if you're watching, I'd do it again.
Yeah, well, hopefully he is.
So, Chris and I worked well together. We had some good matches. The first match, he bailed. He had his laggies, as I call them, pull him out the ring. The relative safety, as the commentator called it.
Oh dear.
But it's not too safe because a few weeks later he had to face me again. And that's where I took his title. So, that was that. I wrestled Cerebral Steve, the Yorkshireman. So, yeah, I had some good experience there, and yes, I do plan to go back soon.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I do plan to go back soon, but not just yet. I then started working with New British Promotions.
Yes.
Wrestled in a match with DDA.
Dante?
No, not Dante. There was Sykes. I was the manager for Bam Bam Burton.
Okay.
Wrestled Sykes. Well, I didn't wrestle Sykes. Bam Bam wrestled Sykes, and I managed Bam Bam.
Right. Okay.
And it was really cool meeting Sykes for the first time. Full of knowledge, and in backstage sometimes I just like to, believe it or not, I do like to be quiet backstage and just listen to the advice that's being given, whether that advice involves me or not, because it's just advice that I can take on to the future. So I'm not necessarily a huge talker backstage, but I am listening.
Yeah,
and I'm listening to all advice, because you're always learning in this game. You're always learning, and there's always someone better than you. There's always someone who's more experienced than you.
Yep.
Willing to share, and that's right cracking that.
Sitting under the learning tree, as JR puts it.
Yeah, and so at the moment you think you can do everything, you need to leave, because that's not right.
Yeah. No, I get completely the right attitude to have.
Yeah, there's a lot of wrestlers there. Oh, I've done this and I don't need to do that. Yeah, you do, because you're still part of the show.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
part of the show. You're still building this company. You're still building your show. Still building your character. The moment you're not building your character is when you've left.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Definitely.
We're always working.
Yeah, no.
We're always learning.
Yeah.
Learning to work. So I joined you on NB New British Promotions through that, and then a few months later I was asked to come back.
Well,
so
yeah.
I was put as part of Project Mayhem.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me when I read that up.
I'd just like to stress that I did not ask to be part of Project Mayhem.
Okay.
I didn't ask for that. I'm quite aware of my own capabilities and stuff. I didn't need to be part of Project Mayhem. But one of their guys went down and they asked if I'd step up. And so I did. And then what happened? They stabbed me in the back because Gunnarsson got his backside pinned whilst I was down and out in the audience. But apparently, that's my fault.
Right, so you took the flak for that then, yeah?
Yeah, and that's because of that little yucca, that little thing, that thing that wears that cardboard cutout box over his shoulder.
I'm surprised we got this far without mentioning him.
And I haven't mentioned him yet. I'm just warming him up. Now, that belt he wears over his shoulder that is cut from his cornflake box. The Barnsley, self-proclaimed Barnsley champion.
Barnsley champion.
Well, at least there's got to be at least one champion in Barnsley, aren't there? Whether it's the cornflake box champion or not. But this all started because of him stirring the pot.
Yes.
So then I was excommunicated from, or what do they call themselves? Project Mayhem.
Project Mayhem, yes.
And I've been subject to their shenanigans in every single match ever since. The problem we've got though is I told them, I don't need you. You needed me. I didn't need you. And now you've got to deal with me. Now, Mr. Lee, I said his name now, so now it's all uncovered. Mr. Lee has been a royal pain in the ass ever since that time. Now, his mouth writes checks that his ass can't afford to pay. I see the numbers game all the time. I see him hiding behind his leader that, well, quite frankly, if it's for school, he'd be quite absent because I don't see him round much. For the amount of talking they do, there's not much of a leader there. Now, I've asked Dante Durden, I told Dante Durden, put your dog on a leash. And is that dog on the leash? No.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Now, someone is going to have to put that dog on a leash. Now, on the 28th of July,
yes,
I am going to silence that yapping.
Well, yeah, I was going to get onto that there, Mikey, because he's got himself into a little bit of a hole, hasn't he? As Mr. Lee.
And you can stay in it.
The 28th of July, not only has he got to face you one-on-one, I don't know how it's happened, how you managed it, but you have got to fight him in Woodhouse, which just happens to be your home village.
It's my current habitat, shall we say that?
Yes, so your friends and family will be there?
Where I'm from.
No.
If you mention my name, they know I'm the landlord of this area.
Yes, you've got your own pub as well.
They know where to find me. So Mr. Lee's put himself in a bit of hot water here.
Yeah.
Because he's got his friends, but what he's got to realise is on the 28th, if he likes to kick off and use his shenanigans, my friends will be all too happy to help lend a hand with shenanigans.
Yes, I think Project Mayhem are outnumbered for one night only on the 28th.
So, let's see what happens, but on the 28th I am going to silence Mr. Lee.
Yes, absolutely. And if you haven't already, if you're in the area, out of the area, just get yourself to Woodhouse. Get yourself onto the new British Promotions page.
Every single match is interfered. He's at the numbers game, and I've had enough. This month, we end that.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Get yourself to that show if you possibly can for that one match alone, because this, like he says, it's been a long time coming. I personally can't wait to see it. It's going to be very interesting to see how he tries to get out of this one.
No, he won't be getting out of it. You can put it that way.
No, definitely not. And in addition to that, which is worth the ticket money on its own, we're also going to have on that one Tommy Rocker defending the new British Promotions title against another one of your friends, the leader of Project Mayhem, Dante Durden. So yeah, he's going to be his mind's going to be elsewhere, and rightly so. How do you see that one going, Mikey?
The same as my matches go with Mr. Lee and the rest of Project Mayhem. I feel the numbers game is going to prevail. Management of NBP, New British Promotions, are going to do nap all. I mean, who is the manager? You hear, management say, management do. Who is that? We've not seen anyone.
Well,
there is not one polarising figure that calls himself the boss, the manager, but behind the curtain we get secret messages. Who is this guy?
Well, I am new to the management team. So,
alright, well, maybe this one's for you then.
Yeah,
Why don't we do something about this?
In fairness, I am in charge of a show in Swillington on the 8th of October. Dante Durden's in the King of Yorkshire tournament. Project Mayhem banned from the building.
Well, that's great in Swillington, but it's like bringing a condom to to a baby shower. It's too late.
Yeah, this one were kind of before my time. It was it was pre-booked, but I would like to think, because I'm actually, maybe not personally, but I'm actually a big fan of Dante Durden as an in-ring performer. I would like to think
bear that in mind.
That he goes for it and actually does what I think he's capable of, and that's challenging anyone in the ring on the basis of his own talent. And I would like to think, maybe idealistically, that he's going to go out there against Tommy Rocker on his own.
I think you're wrong.
Yeah,
I don't think he can do that, and he's proven that he can't do that time and time again. You know, so if he does that this time, I will be surprised myself, and I'll give him all the credit in the world if he does.
Yeah.
You know, credit where credit's due, whether I like you or not. But I personally think he can't do it without the numbers.
Yeah, well, he's got it in him, but I think you might be right. I think he... well, maybe by that point there'll be nobody left to Project Mayhem, because you'll have taken out Mr. Lee and your mates will have taken out the rest of them, so you might not have a choice.
Let's put it this way. On the 28th of July, we will make sure Dante and Tommy's match goes down exactly how it's supposed to go down.
Yes. Right, okay, so you're going to have Tommy's back.
So if you think that there's no plan in place, you're unfortunately, as a member of management, are sadly mistaken.
I'm completely game for that. If there is shenanigans from one side and you've got Tommy's back, then I'm completely fine with that. Absolutely.
And it's not just me that's got Tommy's back. And whilst having Tommy's back, just understand this. Tommy is the current New British Promotions champion.
That he is, yes.
Whilst I have a lot of respect for the guy, and I'm a big fan of the guy, and I will back him up, what he needs to realise is that in his draw, there is an IOU for the title with my name on it.
Wow. Okay, so that's where you go in, that's where your eyes are set firmly then, yeah?
Let us not forget the match I had with John Allen was a #1 contender match that I won. For that very title. So when the time calls for it, I plan to catch in on that IOU. Now, I realise that the 28th of July, that could change. That could be Dante Durden.
It absolutely could.
Or, I don't know, could be Dutch. It could be Martin Kirby. It could be John Allen's. Depends who wins the #1 contender. If Tommy keeps his belt.
Triple threat,
there's going to be a variety of stars that are going for that belt.
Yes. But, it's a bit crowded up there at the moment.
Well, it's going to become less crowded one by one because I intend to step forward and take that belt for myself.
Yes. Okay.
And that's not to disrespect Tommy Rocker in any shape nor form. As I said, he's a great guy and he's a great talent. Business is business.
Yeah.
However, on the 28th of July, we will have his back if that is deemed absolutely necessary.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I've said, I think that's if it's one side playing shenanigans, I think that should be levelled up, definitely. But I don't think there's going to be any, but it's unlikely there's going to be anybody from Project Mayhem left by the time that main event rolls around, because you're going to have dealt with Mr. Lee, your mates are going to have dealt with the rest of them. I think, I think no choice but for it to be one-on-one, but yeah, I'm sure Tommy will appreciate that, and like you say, you're the man with the right phone numbers in Woodhouse, definitely. So you're the landlord. But you did just mention the #1 contenders match, which is a triple threat match again on the 28th of July. This is going to be a triple threat falls count anywhere match. That will be Martin Kirby against Is it Dutch, is it? Yeah, it's Dutch.
That's Dutch.
And then we've got, and this really did surprise me when I saw it, the current old school champion, John Allen, who's wanting to double up his belts by the looks of things, because he's getting himself into the heavyweight title picture. Where do you see that one going? Have you got a preference?
Dutch.
Dutch? Okay.
Yeah. It would be nice to see Dutch take that win. You know, they call him the King of Anarchy.
They do that, yeah.
So he's no stranger to anarchy at all. I think he's got everything it takes to claim that #1 spot. Martin Kirby, a very tough opponent, very experienced wrestler.
Yes.
John Allen's already a champion. We're looking to dual or double up his titles.
Yep.
So it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, that.
But I would like to see Dutch.
Yes.
From a fan's perspective, Dutch.
Yeah, well, it'd be. I would consider him, and I don't mean any disrespect. I consider him the dark horse, just purely because of his opponents. But yeah, I'm with you. King of Anarchy. It's false count anywhere. How could you not fancy him? Because it's his style of match, isn't it? So yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. But yeah, I mean, anybody who can get to that show, get to it. Go on to the New British Promotions Facebook page or Instagram. Have a look, see how you can get tickets. There's not many left. This is very, very nearly at a sellout now. So get your tickets while you can, because this is not going to want to be missed. It's going to be an absolutely awesome night. And that's on the 28th of July in Woodhouse. What's the name of the club, Mikey?
It'll be at the West End.
The West End Club. The West End Club in Woodhouse. Worth travelling for if you're in another part of Yorkshire. If you're in South Yorkshire, you've no excuse. Get yourself there. It's going to be, I would say, the start of what's going to be an absolutely massive summer for New British Promotions, which also takes us to Rye Hill on the 25th of August, which is a Friday. We've actually got a double header on the August bank holiday, because 3 days later we're going to be back at Airhills Labour Club. So that'll be the 28th of August, and then we finish things off for the what I would say, maybe that's early winter, but for the summer season, I'd say on the 8th of October, where we'll be in Swillington.
We're going back to West End in September.
We're going back to West End in September, right? Okay.
That's what I hear on the grapevine.
Right.
We're going back to West End in September.
Well, I'm going to take your word for that, Mikey. Like I say, you're the man in Woodhouse, so you'd hear that one before me. So
I'm the landlord, remember that.
You are the landlord, absolutely.
Lord of the land.
So if we've got another show to get in as well, so that's Lord of the Land. So yeah, we're going to go back to the West End Club in Woodhouse in September. Have we got a date for that? Have you Lord of the Land?
I haven't been informed of the date yet, but word on the land says that September there will be wrestling at the West End Club.
Right, absolutely. Well, I'm sure that will be confirmed by the Lord of the Land in the very in the next few days, and then after that, like I say, we finish things off for the summer season. 8th of October, Swillington Miners Welfare Club, our debut there, and that's going to be something you're taking part in. I know it's in the very, very far rear view, in the very far rear view mirror, but the King of Yorkshire tournament. How do you fancy being the King of Yorkshire?
I don't look in the rear view mirror. It means looking back. So I just look through the front screen. I just look through the windscreen.
Through the windscreen, yeah. Yeah, it's in the far distance, yeah. But it's in front of us. But do you fancy being the King of Yorkshire?
Yeah, I'm already the Lord of the Land.
Well, that's it. It kind of go with you, wouldn't it? Yeah. So you'd be. It wouldn't just be. Yeah. So yeah, you need to. Your conditioning needs to be good though. So you need to wrestle 3 matches in one night for that one.
Oh, that's all right. I think I can do that.
Yeah, and I've heard. In fact, it's confirmed. Really? You get a shot at Dante Durden that night.
Oh, another one.
Yeah, you get a shot at Dante Durden.
Last time his lackeys got involved though in management, as your management now.
Banned
You
them.
didn't do anything.
Yeah, I banned them.
So
they are absolutely bad. He's allowed to have Mr. Lee with him. Unfortunately, I couldn't get over that one. His manager, I couldn't get over that one. But the rest of them are banned.
Might I request that Mr. Lee is handcuffed to someone at ringside?
I'll come back to you. I would need to be given a reason for that, but like I said, it's very far in the future.
Because he's a cheating little twat.
Well, if he proves himself to be between now and that show, then that is absolutely something I'll be looking at doing. As things stand, he is contractually not obligated. He's contractually allowed to be in Dante Durden's corner. But as for the rest of them, they are banned from the club. This tournament's going to be a big thing, and there'll be more information coming up in the next few weeks. But I don't want the integrity of that tournament put into question. So then they are banned from the building.
So therefore, as I am the Lord of the Land in Woodhouse.
Yes.
So people are contractually bound to be like in my corner at Woodhouse. Is that how this works?
Are they managers?
I'm Lord of the Land, so everyone that's below me on my land.
Yeah. Well, it is your land. It is your land. I think that's something that we need to get our heads together as to how much power you have in Woodhouse, and I think we'll find out that that's quite that's quite a lot.
If I can give the order, they can come along, do their thing.
Yeah.
Much like Mr. Lee can come along, do his thing at Swillington.
Yeah. Well, maybe we could have a management meeting in your pub. And
I think we're going to need it.
Yeah, I would get. Yeah, let's discuss that. Let's discuss that outside of the podcast. We'll discuss an evening where we can have a management meeting with the Lord of the Land.
Yeah.
So, with regards to, I did have something written down here, Mikey. I won't be a second. So, you've already had plans for the future. You've told me what they are. You want the belt. So
not Mr. Lee's cardboard cutout box. That sort of belt, not that sort of cereal belt.
No, not the Barnsley champion. No,
not the cornflake champion.
No, absolutely not. No. Well, changing tact. This is going to be a question I ask of everybody that comes onto the podcast. Any wrestler, any era, no restrictions. Who's your ideal opponent?
Shawn Michaels.
Can't argue with that straight away. Definitely.
I think look at his matches. There's such a variety of ability there.
Yeah.
I just feel like that would be a right cracking match. I'd really enjoy having a match with Shawn Michaels, as well as the learning that I would do within that match. I think that would be quite something.
Yeah.
However, I think it would have been nice to tangle a little bit with the British Bulldog, but as a tag partner, that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can't do that now. Not being on the circuit, not being alive. In fact, it's difficult. So, if I had to look at the British circuit, I'd still, even now, two lads, Nathan Cruz and Rob Bell. I'd love to have a match with those.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a match with those.
Okay.
They're two guys that I saw start training, and in the time I've been away, they've done extremely well, and there's no doubt in that. Like, what they've been able to achieve is amazing.
Yeah.
So I'd really like to tangle with those and see where they got to, and maybe they can teach me a thing or two now.
Yeah, well, are they still? So they're still active. They're still going on the circuit now. Yeah.
They're still going on the circuit.
It's worth a look at then, because you've answered my next question. Because I was going to go from the current era. So, yeah, let's have a look and see if New British Promotions Management can make your wish come true there.
Maybe one day, if he swallows his pride, and becomes a man, Aaron Sharp. Maybe. That
would be interesting.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We could do that match. However, until he's in hiding, until he comes out of hiding, that won't happen.
Well, maybe this podcast, once it's done the rounds, maybe this will bring him out of hiding. Shall we send an open invitation to invite him onto a future podcast? See if he wants to come and respond to a few bits you've said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? I don't see why not.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's try and make that happen. Aaron, you're more than welcome here on New British Promotions Live. Anytime, send us a message. I can make that happen for you.
Well, let's see what he does. Let's see if he responds to that. And if he does, I'll be more than happy to meet him here.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, that would be interesting. So let's hope that happens. Definitely. But Mikey, it's been an absolute... it's been awesome, but we have run out of time. So I'm sure we're going to have you on again. Especially as the as the Woodhouse shows come round, and you're going to be challenging for the title after Mr. Lee, I'm sure. So, will you come back on again? Will you?
Yeah, you'll see me next time as the world champion.
Right. Okay, that is bold. Okay, so who's to argue with that confidence? But yeah, no, it's been awesome, mate. Thank you very much for your time. You're our first guest. It's going to take some topping, is that one, mate? So yeah, make sure, once again, I keep plugging it, worth plugging, 28th of July, be in Woodhouse, Law of the Land, against Mr. Lee. Just be there, definitely. And it's selling out fast.
I'm so confident that I can beat Mr. Lee on the 28th of July. I've got enough anger and frustration in these barrels that I can beat Mr. Lee with one arm tied behind my back.
Oh, he'll take you up on that.
Let him put his money where his mouth is.
Right, I will be certain to hear from Mr. Lee, I'm sure, before this evening is out. So yes, I'm sure my inbox will be...
I'm sure the whole world will hear from Mr. Lee before the evening's out.
Yes.
He talks in his sleep, he screams in his sleep. I'm sure there's not a moment of silence.
Right, well, it is going to be very interesting to see if he takes you up on that. But I think, yeah, maybe you just evened it up a little bit for him.
I don't think so.
No, like your confidence, but no.
Let's just see, shall we?
It's been, honestly, mate, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time. And yeah, we'll speak to you again when you're the champ.
All right.
All right. See you later on. Thank you very much.